It's a big star. I mean, this should attract a lot of people.
Coming up, the $300 million Bottle Works district in downtown Indianapolis, been years in the making, and is taking another step closer to opening this week. The Bottle Works Hotel is a marquee tenant of Phase 1, and GM Amy Isbell Williams explains how the project can transform the Near East Side of Indy by creating a destination. And Vision Tech Angels is on pace for its best year ever as investors seek to bring the American dream to life by helping more people start companies. Executive Director Ben Pidgeon explains how one of the Midwest's most active early-stage investing groups is beating COVID-19. Plus,
I'm Mary Rachel Redman in downtown Lafayette, where one of the city's historic 19th century neighborhoods is rapidly vanishing. I'll have that story and more coming up.
Details on those stories and much more ahead on this edition of Inside Indiana Business. Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. Well, the countdown is on to the opening of the first phase of the $300 million Bottle Works district in downtown Indianapolis. The Bottle Works Hotel is a 139-room boutique hotel located at the southwest corner of the former Coca-Cola bottling plant and will open in December. In addition to the hotel, the project will include the Garage Food Hall with more than 25 independently owned local and regional vendors, as well as a movie theater and the new corporate headquarters for venture studio High Alpha. Bottle Works District is the largest private development of its kind in Indiana, and I'm pleased to welcome to the show Bottle Works Hotel General Manager Amy Isbell Williams with details on this mixed-use district and how it's coming to life. Amy, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You know, there's been, as you know, so much talk about this development and this project for so many years, a number of years. And now it's really come to life. And I think when it comes to the hotel, we saw that physically. We could see that this week with the hotel signage going up atop the facility there. Talk about progress on the Bottle Works Hotel.
Sure. As you mentioned last week, our sign went up. We like to joke that she got her crown last week. So that's the first step to really getting these doors open. We're really excited in the coming weeks to do the finishing, complete the finishing touches on the hotel side of things, and then everything else falling into place after that.
Tell us a little bit more about the hotel, because it really is unique. Plus, where it is located, it will be across the street from the Garage, the food hall. About 24 food vendors and establishments will be located there, really adding to what I imagine is envisioned as a pretty cool vibe in that area.
Absolutely. So the hotel itself, it has 139 rooms, 9 event spaces totaling 12,000 square feet of meetings and event spaces, including an open air urban courtyard. And as you mentioned, just next to Bottle Works Hotel, the Garage Food Hall, it'll be home to more than 20 independently owned local and regional vendors, making Bottle Works District a true hub for local businesses and the expansive food scene of Indianapolis. And I think as we think about Mass Ave, there's no question when you describe Mass Ave, where you're going to go, how you're going to experience, all the tastes and flavors of that area. And that's really what we want people to think of when they think about Bottle Works District as well. We're certainly bookending Mass Ave and members of that community as well on that east end, but we really want everyone to think of Bottle Works District as its own, just that district where everyone can come and experience the sights and sounds and tastes and all of the experience that we're going to have there.
Well, again, so many people have been talking about Bottle Works for so long, but it's actually coming to life and actually happening. As I mentioned, the hotel to open late this year in December, the food hall to follow that, so that phase 1 really coming into play. High Alpha, the venture studios, already started to move in. I know I talked with Scott Dorsey and got a little virtual tour, very exciting there. Talk about getting this project, not just the hotel, but the overall project, up and running and really for phase one to happen in the midst of a pandemic. That has to have been a real challenge.
Sure. It certainly has been a challenge as far as timeline is concerned. I think we're in a very lucky position. However, I think of it really more as a benefit to us. I think, as we are here more than 6 months into this experience that we're all enduring, I think no industry has been hit quite as hard as the hospitality industry. And we've been very lucky that, our colleagues in this industry and, our partners in this community, as far as food and beverage and hospitality and hotels are concerned, we've really been able to learn from our colleagues on what's really, really working, what's really, really not, and really what guests and customers are going to be looking for and expecting from us once our doors open.
Yes, and has that been helpful? Because I know a sister hotel, if you will, is the Ironworks Hotel on the north side with the Geronimo Hospitality Group. Been able to learn some things from the operations at Ironworks as you get into this?
Without question. I think they are really, paving the path for us to really have a successful opening and to make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed when it comes to guest and visitor safety. Not to mention, we also have quite a few food and beverage outlets in our Beloit, Wisconsin location where our corporate office is that are really making sure that we understand what lies ahead of us once we open our doors. So absolutely, we're able to learn so much from them.
Well, it is a major project. It's been, again, talked about for a long time, actually coming to life. We'll see some openings before the end of the year. Amy Isbell Williams is the GM at BottleWorks Hotel. Amy, thanks for joining us. We look forward to following the story.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, Cleveland-based steelmaker Cliff Inc. Has agreed to acquire ArcelorMittal USA, including several Indiana plants, in a cash and stock deal. It's valued at $1.4 billion. ArcelorMittal is based in Europe, operates more than 20 facilities in the U.S., including steel mills in Burns Harbor and Indiana Harbor, and a plating facility in Gary. It is the largest steel manufacturer in North and South America. The deal will make Cleveland-Cliffs the largest flat-rolled steel producer in North America, that according to a news release. The agreement expected to close in the fourth quarter of this year. Coming up next, Notre Dame startup Resonado has received a boost for its flagship product, flat core speakers. The infusion comes from VisionTech Angels, which has emerged as one of the Midwest's most active early-stage investing groups. Executive Director Ben Pidgeon explains how it's on pace for its best year ever, investing more than $2 million in 11 companies like Resonado. It's time to go inside innovation, brought to you by Allegion, pioneering safety. Well, despite the pandemic and all of its disruptions, the 125 investors in the VisionTech Angels networks continues to write checks. The latest investment, $210,000 in Notre Dame startup Resonado, which brings its bridge round haul to nearly $1 million. Executive Director Ben Pidgeon joins us now to explain how VisionTech is keeping the money flowing to Indiana startups during these very challenging times. Ben, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, give us a thumbnail description of VisionTech Angels. Early stage investment group, focused primarily on the Midwest here, been around since 2008, but you're a bit unique. You're not a fund. Talk about what the real business model is there at VisionTech.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So of the 125 investors, we are set up as a volunteer check writing network. So the investors really have to follow the story, consume the data that we put out, and then make a decision whether or not they want to participate in the round. So 2020 has been a year where we've put together some just incredibly strong opportunities that we're meeting, being disruptive in the market, had good management teams and good execution.
Well, you talk about the numbers in 2020. you expect to finish up with about $2.5 million in 11 or 12 companies. Your best numbers during a pandemic. What do you credit the activity and the numbers to?
Yeah, I would credit the activity to a couple of things, actually. One of the things is that our investor base is very active. We get into a diligence process after we've determined that there's interest in pursuing something, and a number of our investors usually raise their hand to participate in that diligence process, where we get to interview people like David Liu, who founded the Knot.com, as part of a diligence process. And then report, push it out to investors, and we kind of seed the deal with those diligence members participating. They get to vote on the deal and kind of form an opinion through a scorecard. That scorecard's pushed out for everybody to review, and also they get to find out if the diligence team is investing or not. So it's a really neat model.
Well, one of your big investments this year, pretty cool company coming out of Notre Dame, Resonado. They've got flat speaker technology. We've had them on the show a couple of times in the past. Really starting to raise a lot of eyebrows, and you're making a significant investment into that company.
Yeah, absolutely. So we look at 400 deals a year, and you look at that many number of deals and you try to figure out if it's either an oxygen, aspirin, or jewelry. If a product's an oxygen, you pay for it because you can't live without it. If it's aspirin, it removes a major pain point. If it's jewelry, you pay for it because you want it. And, on the surface, Resonado looks like a jewelry. But when you start to look at the opportunity and listen to the story that Brian tells, it becomes an aspirin because of the design capabilities that Resonado now enables. By example, one of the reasons why your car door is as thick as it is to accommodate the traditional speaker size. And so Resonado solves a couple of design pain points that a lot of manufacturers in the automotive industry have experienced.
Yep, a big investment in one of the cool companies growing here in Indiana. Ben Pidgeon is the executive director of Vision Tech Angels. Looking at a record year this year. Ben, congratulations and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, coming up next, saving a historic home in Lafayette that dates back to 1884. Around Indiana reporter Mary Rachel Redmond continues her Endangered Indiana series with a look at another Hoosier landmark that has made a list of the 10 most endangered places in the state, what the future holds for the Folly O'Gara Pike House. Here's what's making news now around Indiana, brought to you by Chapman Heating, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. The man for all seasons, Chapman, chapmanheating.com. Well, this week's installment of Endangered Indiana takes us to Tippecanoe County, where Lafayette's 40-square block downtown happens to be one of the Midwest's most intact examples of 19th century urban development. But as our Mary Rachel Redmond reports, with newer economic development projects on the horizon, how does Lafayette preserve that historic fabric of its downtown?
Most typically associate Lafayette with Purdue University, given its location just a mere 2 miles from campus. But the city of just over 72,000 has its own identity, with a downtown steeped in architectural history dating back over 150 years.
We haven't always done a great job of showing the rest of the state, hey, we've got this really intact 19th century core, walkable cobblestone alleys.
But demolition of Lafayette's historic downtown homes is rapidly increasing, like this Folly O'Gara Pike House that was built in 1884.
The house currently threatened is an example of what's happened to many of the historic homes in this immediate area that have been acquired by the diocese and demolished for either parking or proposed expansion of St. Mary Cathedral.
Lafayette's Old City is a fabric. Think of it like a mosaic or tapestry. This is one of the more ornate tiles or threads in it. You'll notice there's tulips in the cornice, there's tulips carved on the stonework in the front, grapes at the base of the arch, and those are all really unique architectural features that you don't see built today. Even if we go around some of the other neighborhoods, they don't have this level of customized detailing on them. So losing this house would not just be a blow for the neighborhood, it would be a loss of craftsmanship, a piece of Lafayette's old history.
And this historic 19th century neighborhood also has special ties to Purdue University, where historic buildings like this one you see behind me housed fraternities and sororities through the early 20th century.
A lot of the fraternities were on this side of the river. West Lafayette did not have a lot of the infrastructure, the water, the gas that Lafayette had in the 19th century. In fact, in the 1880s, West Lafayette sought to be annexed by Lafayette to pay for that infrastructure, but Lafayette declined. You know, hindsight's 20/20 though. So that's kind of its relation to Purdue. A lot of the students in the early 20th century lived in neighborhoods like this. There was a lot of fraternities up this street, in that neighborhood down there.
And the Director of Economic Development for the City of Lafayette wants to use its rich architectural history as an economic driver for future projects.
We've used historic preservation as an economic development tool for some time. Our downtown has lots of historic structures, and it's been one of our greatest assets.
In a perfect world, Lafayette's old city would be a protected historic district, and where we would be able to work with owners to find solutions that are feasible but sensitive. And that way, you know, as the city develops, as it grows, we're not doing it at the cost of our local history, architecture, and the unique thing that drew people in the first place.
Mary Rachel Redmond, Inside Indiana Business.
All right, Mary Rachel, thank you. Well, also making headlines around Indiana this week, the city of Portage looking for ways to repurpose the old Garrison School instead of knocking down that 100-year-old structure. The school building is believed to be one of the oldest commercial buildings in the city. Our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana report consultants from Valparaiso-based Carnew Blue Era are proposing a community center that could include a coffee shop and fine arts studio. The paper reports the construction cost for the project would be about $3.2 million. John Bowen has been promoted, named president of Parkview Regional Medical Center and affiliates. He previously served as chief operating officer for the healthcare provider. Also, Ben Miles has been appointed president of Health Plan Services and chief advocacy officer for Parkview. He has served in several leadership positions since joining the system in 2012. The philanthropic arm of Toyota USA has awarded more than $3.3 million in grants to help provide internet access and computers to students who are involved in distance learning. Toyota USA Foundation says the money is being distributed to school districts in the 13 states where it does business. In Indiana, East, North, and South Gibson School Corporations, as well as Evansville Vanderburg School Corporation, will receive some of that funding. Toyota employs more than 7,000 workers at its Princeton plant in Southwest Indiana. And Mike Recken has announced plans to retire as president and CEO of First Merchants Corporation after 13 years there. That's effective December 31. The Muncie-based banking company says Recken will remain on the board of directors and serve as an advisor. First Merchants COO and Chief Financial Officer Mark Hardwick will succeed Recken as CEO, while Chief Banking Officer Mike Stewart will become president. Coming up next, private jet company JetLinx was flying high last year. Then the pandemic hit. JetLinx President Brad Frawley will join us with details on how the company is navigating through some turbulent times. Well, JetLinx, the largest private charter operator in Indiana, says it's soaring to new heights with 19 terminals around the U.S. The Indianapolis location is the second busiest of those terminals, just behind Dallas. With more on growth and what's next, especially in light of the pandemic, some very challenging times, pleased to be joined by base partner and president Brad Frawley. And Brad, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, JetLinx, founded in Omaha in 1999. That's the corporate headquarters in Omaha, but a major operation here, as I mentioned, 19 base locations around. Indianapolis is the second busiest. Brad, give us the business model, if you will, for what JetLinx, how it works.
Sure thing. Basically, two parts of our business, Gary, aircraft management and jet card memberships. So for those folks that may want to purchase an aircraft but need pilots, need somebody to maintain it, we're their source for that. And from a membership standpoint, those who don't want to buy an airplane but want to fly privately can buy memberships with us and just pay as they go, where they fly once a year or unlimited times a year. They can just pay as they go membership program.
Yeah. The aviation industry in particular has been hit very hard by the pandemic, of course. Talk about the hit to JetLinx in the spring when the pandemic was just unfolding and how much business dropped at that time.
Sure thing. Yeah, we were approximately down about 85 to 90% right out of the box. So the month of April, the entire aviation industry, private, commercial, really just came to a complete stop. Just basically only very, very necessary travel was taking place during April. And that's kind of continued for the commercial space. It's slowly come back. Our business really ramped back up starting in May. We noticed people starting to get more comfortable with traveling, maybe traveling to and from their second home, a lot of personal travel. And then June, July, August have just really continued to grow to where we're 50, 60% over budgeted numbers, which is pretty amazing compared to where we were in April.
What do you credit for that? I know we talked off camera a little bit about people maybe feeling more comfortable flying private versus commercial, but I know you also entered into a partnership with another organization in terms of the sanitation and COVID-19 related cleaning and things that needs to happen at this time.
Yes. So what we did, JetLinx has always been known for our safety. We spend millions and millions of dollars a year on safety, pilot training, maintaining the airplanes, one of the top 1% safety operators in the world. So right out of the box, we partnered with a product called BioProtect, which is a fog that is put on the airplanes. The airplane is sealed, shut, and all surfaces are protected by BioProtect. Same with our facilities here at the Indianapolis International Airport at our private terminal, and made sure our customers are aware that this product was a COVID killer, and flying on our planes was completely safe, and our customers really appreciated it. And I think that just one more component that made them feeling safe to travel.
All right, JetLinx, the Indianapolis location, one of 19 base operations for the company, the second busiest, and seeing business come back in a big way. Brad Frawley is president here and base partner at JetLinx. Brad, thanks for joining us, and good luck going forward. I know flying these uncharted times, many challenges, but good luck going forward.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, coming up in the business of health, we go one-on-one with a doctor from IU Health about a major new mask-wearing campaign and why Wear Because You Care is targeting Hoosier businesses. Well, the largest health system in the state is throwing its weight behind the effort to get Hoosiers to wear masks. IU Health recently launched its statewide Wear Because You Care campaign, and Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has more. Kylie.
Thank you, Gary. IU Health says the campaign is a natural fit with its mission to make Indiana one of the healthiest states in the U.S. But it's also an important message for businesses and minority communities. Joining me now to tell us more is Dr. Michelle Cesana, the Chief Quality and Safety Officer at IU Health. Dr. Cesana, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so Wear Because You Care. Just give us an idea. Why did IU want to launch this campaign?
So we felt it was really important that during COVID that we've wanted to be a trusted source of information in these really confusing times. So we felt that along with, as you said, our mission to make Indiana one of the healthiest states in the nation went hand in hand. And to help Hoosiers stay safe during this time, we felt like we wanted to take that stance and launch this campaign to get the message out to Hoosiers all across the state.
That's right. A big important piece of this is that it is statewide, not just in central Indiana. Obviously, IU Health has locations throughout the state. So a special focus of this campaign is minorities. So explain what you're doing to focus on minorities and why is that so important?
So it's really important to us because we've seen all across the country and in Indiana disparities in our minority populations and how they've been affected by COVID. And so we really felt like this was a way to help offer more resources and some protection to those folks. So what we realized is it's really important to leverage some of the media outlets and venues that we can use to reach more minority populations. So Radio One and Telemundo, that we know that people tune into, and so we can reach them in different ways than maybe we have traditionally. And so we're really focused on that and excited about that. We're also using some of the work we're doing around vaccinating, doing flu vaccination in our communities to also spread that word as well.
Yes, I know we are going to get to flu vaccines and because we want to talk about that as well. That's also an important piece of this. I know you're also focusing on zip codes that have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. But let's talk a little bit about the business community. What message is there in this mask campaign for Hoosier businesses?
So I think it's the health and the economy are together in this, and that really we want to help businesses stay open. So if we wear masks, we can keep the rates of COVID down so that we can keep people can go out, and they can go to the grocery stores. They can be patrons of local businesses too. And then also businesses will still have their workers, if they're not affected by COVID, they'll still be able to come to work every day, and their kids will be able to go to school. And so by masking, that helps protect us as a community so that we can continue doing the things that we need to do, like go to school and go to work. And I think that's really the message we want to get out.
And hand in hand with this campaign, I know IU Health has a big push on flu vaccinations this season. Explain how that effort is going right along with this Wear Because You Care mask campaign.
Sure. So part of it is that we're using that the venues that we're going to be doing flu vaccination in to also spread this campaign. Obviously, one of the other things is that for many years, it's a requirement to work in our system to receive the flu vaccine so that we can protect our own patients and team members from flu. But then the other piece that's really important about that is we don't want to see increasing rates of flu and COVID in the fall and in the winter because that potentially will overwhelm our emergency departments, our hospitals, and our clinics. And so we know going into the fall and winter, that's usually when we see the flu start to rear its ugly head. And so we want to do everything we can to protect Hoosiers from the flu as well.
And I know IU Health just announced today some free flu vaccination clinics coming up in Marion County. Just a few seconds left, but just big picture, what do you think is the significance of IU Health, the largest medical system in the state, throwing its weight behind this campaign? I know the state has its own mask campaign, but is there more validity when a health system says wear a mask?
I think that it helps, right? I think anything that we can do to help spread that message along with the Indiana State Department of Health is a good thing. And so that's really what we want to be good partners in this too, and be able to use the channels that we have to be able to communicate that and spread that message and be a trusted source for Hoosiers.
Okay, well, Dr. Cesana, thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing this message. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Gary, back to you.
All right, Kylie, thank you. Well, recruiting, developing, and retaining teachers remain really one of the biggest challenges in education. Teach Indy is getting a huge financial boost to help tackle the challenge from the College Football Playoff Foundation and the 2022 College Football Playoff National Championship Host Committee. Plus, civic and education leaders launching a virtual hub to help Indiana educators and families all over the state cope with a new era of e-learning with a gift to create a statewide e-learning lab. In our Eye on Education segment this week, we'll get details on both from 2022 Indianapolis College Football Playoff National Championship Host Committee co-chair for Legacy Impact, Claire Fidian Green, and the Mind Trust CEO, Brandon Brown. And welcome to you both. Glad you could join us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Claire, I want to start with you. Of course, Indianapolis scheduled to host the 2022 College Football National Championship game. I cannot wait for that. It's going to be a great event. But a key part of that really is the foundation giving back to the communities that host these games. The education across the country is the theme is education, and that's certainly the case with Indianapolis hosting this game as well.
That's right, Gary. One of the College Football Playoff National Championships' biggest points of pride is their Legacy Impact Project, and their priority cause is elevating the teaching profession.
Well, let's look at that because you are have committed $1.5 million to Indianapolis. Recently issued about $200,000 of that. That will be targeting an effort in Indianapolis Public Schools to recruit, develop, and retain teachers.
That's right. That remains one of our pressing needs, is to make sure we have more teachers coming into the profession and that they succeed, flourish, and stay in the classroom to provide great education to kids.
Okay, Brandon, I want to get your take on this because it's such a huge issue, talent in any industry. But you look at the education field, keeping quality teachers, recruiting those teachers, a big issue. The Mind Trust, Teach Indy is getting this money. The Mind Trust, Indianapolis Public Schools, the Indianapolis Mayor's Office are getting their arms around this. How's it going to work? What are you going to do? How's the group going to really tackle those challenges?
Yeah, so when we think about how do we scale up high quality schools for kids, the number one variable is how do we get more high quality teachers in our classrooms. So in 2008, these 3 local organizations came together to try to really establish a citywide initiative to recruit high quality teachers to really teach in our most high need schools. And what we found over time is that it's not just enough to have a recruitment strategy. We need to support and develop and reward our teachers on an ongoing basis, because we can't just focus on the front of that continuum. We have to make sure that we're retaining high quality teachers over time.
Yeah, so that's one major initiative that will be unfolding, certainly. Just a few weeks earlier, Claire, the foundation awarded some $800,000 to create an e-learning lab in this era of COVID that has really come into focus, obviously. Talk about this e-learning lab, why the investment made there, and the fact this is very much a statewide initiative.
That's right, Gary. Well, COVID-19 forced all of us at home for a period of time, and literally overnight, we had to start learning and teaching remotely, and that placed enormous strain on educators statewide and, of course, on parents and students. So these civic leaders came together, and with the support from the College Football Playoff National Championship and the local host committee, we were able to launch the Indiana e-learning lab, along with support from the Indianapolis e-learning fund. The Indiana e-learning lab is a statewide virtual hub that provides resources and supports for educators as well as parents to assist with e-learning needs of students.
Yeah, it's statewide, and I think the key component there, the key element to remember, it's free as well for folks. So that is big. It's very much statewide. I know there's a Sellersburg company that's involved in partnership to make this happen. So this truly is a statewide initiative.
That's right, Gary. Yeah, one of the key partners is 5-Star, which is an Indiana-based company founded by educators and administrators. They work with schools all over the state, public and private, to support their technology and e-learning needs.
Yeah, Brandon, as you look at that e-learning component, it has become almost literally overnight such a huge issue in education. As you look at this e-learning lab and the impact that can have, your thoughts?
It's huge. So I'm a dad. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old at home. And with all the privilege in the world, it was really challenging for my wife and I to navigate the complexities of e-learning. And I can't imagine the marginalized families in our community who face just really immense challenges. Mm-hmm. So I think that this free resource that will be available just across the strait is an absolute game-changing investment for our kids, for our families, and our educators. And I'm just really excited about the results.
Yeah. Claire, I'll give you the final word on this. I think it's lost on a lot of people that don't realize when major events like the College Football National Championship game come to town, many times there's this legacy impact that is left in a huge way. This is a lot of money, ultimately $1.5 million. In your view, the impact that this is going to have on education, not only here in Indianapolis, but statewide?
We hope that this important gift from the College Football Playoff National Championship and the local host committee not only helps teachers and families and students navigate this COVID era that we're living in, but also turns into a long-standing resource that can help teachers be more innovative, with their lesson planning and ultimately help students succeed with their academics.
Yeah, one more big byproduct and benefit from being the sports capital of the world, right? Claire Fittian-Green, the co-chair of the Legacy Impact, the 2022 CFP National Championship Host Committee. Also, Brandon Brown, the CEO at the Mind Trust. Thank you both very much. We look forward to following the progress on these initiatives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. Well, an Ohio-based startup has opened its first location in the Hoosier State. Cohatch says the shared work, social, and family space at Hamilton Town Center in Noblesville will be the first of 8 locations planned for central Indiana. The 7,200 square foot location features a 2-story mezzanine, a podcasting room, and a combination of 22 private offices and co-working spaces. And Cohatch has already detailed plans to renovate and restore the historic Trinity Church in the Broad Ripple neighborhood, which is expected to open early next year. The Noblesville location is the startup's 17th location in the Midwest. Still ahead, Indiana Citizen says it is dedicated to increasing the number of informed, engaged Hoosier voters. Learn what the Indiana Citizen Education Foundation is doing to get those Hoosier voters to the polls. But first, daily antigen testing is underway on student athletes, coaches, and others. It's all part of the Big Ten's plan to kick off its football season later this month. We get perspective from IU Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Scott Dolson. That's next. Well, for college football fans of the Big Ten and other conferences, it's been an off-season of angst, uncertainty, and ultimately disappointment after an August announcement that there would be no fall season. But now the Big Ten and other leagues are preparing to give it another try beginning later this month. Our Inside Indiana sports reporter Bill Benner has more on some Indiana perspective. Bill.
Gary, thanks. Indeed, the Big Ten said that under strict COVID-19 protocols, that includes no fans in attendance, a 9-game season will commence on the weekend of October 23rd and 24th, and other leagues like the Mid-American Conference have followed suit. And joining us today to discuss the protocols, what it means for his athletic department and others is Indiana University Vice President, Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Scott Dolson. And Scott, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for making time to come on with us.
Great. Thanks for having me, Bill. Good to see you.
Well, and I have to start out again with the on again and then off and then now back on. For you, your Purdue counterpart, Mike Bobinski, and the other 12 ADs, this has to have been a very tumultuous time. How have you dealt with all that during this time?
Yeah, it was definitely challenging, Bill, in terms of just like you said, the kind of on, off, and back on. But I give our staff a lot of credit. Tom Allen, our strength coordinator, Aaron Wellman. So internally, really keeping our student athletes focused, continuing to work out, stay in shape, kind of be mentally ready just in case. And then, as you mentioned, with Mike Bobinski and my fellow AD colleagues, really to make certain that we were listening to the medical experts, which is why originally it was postponed. And fortunately for us, enough advances happened and we're able to do the things that where the medical experts felt comfortable moving forward, which was great news for everybody. So certainly been a challenging time, but again, all in all, I think everybody did the right things with the decisions along the way.
Certainly the ultimate decision was that of the Big Ten Commissioner and his office, but also the Big Ten Council of Presidents and Chancellors. How much did they involve, and I would anticipate it was quite a bit, how much did they involve your staff and the medical people in coming to this final decision to get the season going again?
Yeah, they involved us a lot, Bill, to be honest with you. We really worked closely with Commissioner Warren, and we said again from the start that we listened to the medical experts. And from the time we postponed, we really worked diligently to try to look into whether it was the testing availability to make certain it was uniform across the Big Ten, the cardiac restart protocols, and then ultimately, on our individual campuses, work closely with your president or your chancellor. I give President McRobbie so much credit. We worked really closely together. I kept him informed as we were getting details. And then ultimately, as you said, it flows up through the presidents and chancellors, and the medical experts came up with a great plan. Our own Dr. Larry Rink, who's here on campus, and been an advisor for us for years, did a terrific job in leading the way, really, in the Big Ten, and developing particularly some cardiac protocols that everybody felt comfortable recommending. That then ultimately the presidents and chancellors made the decision to go ahead and let us restart, which was really a great thing for all of us.
Scott, the league announced this week an agreement with a company called Biodesix, Cadell Corporation, which will assist in the daily all 14 Big Ten campuses. That testing has started, and just talk generally about some of the protocols.
Yeah, that was really a really game changer for everybody. So there was uniform, the same tests, same people applying the tests across the conference. For us here at IU, we were really fortunate that we set up our own lab about 2.5 weeks ago in our football, in the Terrytown Football Complex lounge, where we were really starting the daily testing process, where we had acquired some tests on our own to get that going. So when we were able to start with the Biodesix team and getting our new testing abilities going, that we kind of hit the ground running and sort of had it set up for them to come in and take it over. So really proud of our athletics team who got that set up, worked closely with our university administration, and really utilized some capacity that we had on campus to get things going. So we were ready to go when things started up across the Big Ten.
Scott, briefly, the other fall sports, cross country, soccer, volleyball, they will still be contested in the spring. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, there was a couple of reasons behind that. Number one, the NCAA championships for those fall sports were moved to the spring. And then in addition to that, we really felt in talking among the Big Ten athletic directors and the commissioner that we really wanted to make certain we get football going and really work the kinks out and understand kind of how things evolve regarding the protocols. And ultimately, we'll be in a better position to move forward with the fall sports in the spring. But right now, it's just football getting going here in a few weeks.
Scott, just about a minute left. October 24th, 10th ranked Penn State comes to Bloomington. Certainly no easy task there for Coach Tom Allen. But again, emphasize no fans, no tailgating on university property, and so it will be a kind of a bare bones operation.
Yeah, it'll definitely be different. And certainly we wish we had fans here. We wish we had you here, Bill, for sure. And we wish we had tailgating, but that's part of kind of making certain it's uniform across the Big Ten. And really because we had different guidelines from communities across the Big Ten, we felt it was best to go that way. So we'll have the families and parents of players and staff. But other than that, it'll be a pretty skeleton operation. But again, we're just excited to get going and really appreciate the work of our president, certainly the commissioner of the Big Ten and all of the presidents across the Big Ten to get things going.
Well, Scott Dolson, the new Indiana University Athletic Director and Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, we certainly appreciate you coming on the program. We wish you the best, and we do indeed look forward to seeing football from Bloomington, West Lafayette, and the other Big Ten conference campuses soon. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks again for having me, Bill. Really appreciate it. Go IU.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Gary, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Well, a ranking from California-based Zippia lists Fishers as the best city in the nation for remote workers. The Career Resources website says it ranked more than 1,300 cities based on criteria including rent cost, home price, and laptops and desktops per household. The ranking cites Fishers' short commute to and from Indianapolis, affordable housing, and a strong technology infrastructure as factors earning it the #1 spot. Zippia found more people work remotely in Fishers than almost anywhere in the country. And you can view the entire list by going to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Coming up, the Indiana Citizen bills itself as a nonpartisan nonprofit platform dedicated to increasing the number of informed, engaged Hoosier voters. Learn what the Indiana Citizen Education Foundation is doing to get more Hoosiers registered and informed and to the polls. Well, believe it or not, Indiana ranked among the bottom 10 states for voter turnout in 4 of the past 5 elections. Now, the Indiana Citizen is a nonpartisan, nonprofit group that's on a mission now to reverse that dynamic. The organization has set a goal of reaching 750,000 of the state's estimated 1.7 million unregistered voters. to help them understand the issues and register to vote. I'm pleased to welcome to the show this week Indiana Citizen Education Foundation co-founder and president, Bill Moreau. And Bill, welcome to the program, and it's great to see you, even though it's virtually.
Gary, thank you very, very much for the invitation. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Indiana Citizen, the Indiana Citizen Education Foundation, because I think it's really an idea, an organization whose time has come. Talk about the, what really spawned the idea to create the organization.
Well, I retired from Barnes & Thornburg at the end of 2019, and as my wife Ann and I started planning for that, we had a long, hard conversation about what can we do to do something to contribute to a state that has meant so much to us and has done so much for us and our family, and thus the Indiana Citizen Education Foundation was formed. We're a 501c3, scrupulously nonpartisan with wonderful bipartisan support. We're trying to work on these civic health metrics of registration, education, and turnout.
Yeah, we talk about registration. I mentioned in the introduction, Indiana, the bottom 10 states for voter turnout for the past 5 elections. And then you all really received a wake-up call, as we were talking off camera here about a week ago or so, on a recent national study from Tufts University, Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement. Indiana did not come out looking very well in those numbers. Talk about that.
Yeah, dead last. So this organization at Tufts University got access through the voter files in 39 states. So the voter files in the states are that's the repository of the information that we all provide when we register to vote. So they went in and they looked at the voter files in 39 states. They compared August 2020, right, to just before Election Day in November of 2016. And in the age cohort of 18 to 19-year-old, these first-time voters, we came in dead last of the 39 states. We're actually down 54%, meaning there were some 92,000 first-time voters in 2016 in the 18-19 age cohort. Now there are 43,000. Wow. So this past week, we really put out a call. It sounded like a plea, frankly, to anybody who has contact with this particular age group, right? School superintendents, principals, teachers, parents, coaches, right? Try to get these 18 and 19-year-olds registered right now before the deadline of October 5th. Right, this is the way we perpetuate our democracy, and frankly, this is the way. This is how democracies die. In the sense, if you don't bring in the younger group, we're just going to wither. And in fact, that's kind of the trend we're on in Indiana right now. The trend is the wrong way, and we really need to connect with, especially with these 18 and 19-year-olds, and bring them in to the active civic life of Indiana. Yeah,
as a final question, Bill, you talk about that urgent, immediate need, but I know the Indiana Citizen Education Foundation, has a longer-term vision. As you look over time at what you would like to accomplish with the organization and how you're going about doing it, what are those things?
Well, look, of course, it starts with doing everything we can to make this election cycle as positive as we can. So we've been working hard on registration. We're creating a platform of unbiased information about the candidates and the issues, and then we're going to work hard on turnout. And if page turns in 2021 and we can continue to contribute to the civic health of Indiana as an information platform about what's going on in Indiana government, I think we can make a contribution toward the civic health of Indiana.
Very good. Bill Moreau, continuing to make a big difference in Indiana, now the co-founder and president, Indiana Citizen Education Foundation. Bill, great to see you and good luck with the effort.
Thank you. Go to onemorevoice.com. I got to get that in.
Good. Thanks, great job. All right, Bill, thank you. And I'll be right back after this. Stay with us. Coming up next week, creating the classroom of the future during the COVID-19 pandemic. How Matrix Integration and Cisco are implementing tech solutions, helping school districts not only now, but for the long term as well, and how the private sector is playing a role as well. Plus, what does the future look like for men's college basketball? The Final Four in Indy next April. We'll have some answers inside Indiana Sports. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Gary Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.
Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is a production of Grow Indiana Media Ventures with support from WFYI Productions.